Good afternoon, everyone. How are we doing today? Nice. More enthusiasm, please. How are we doing today? Yes, that's the spirit. Okay. So, welcome to Out of Office Pride 2026. Thank you so much for being here. Each one of you is so special, and we really appreciate you spending the whole afternoon with us. Today is about community. It's about creating space for meaningful conversations, new connections, and celebrating many ways people show up authentically in their lives and work. Whether you came with friends or walked in knowing nobody, we are so glad that you're here. A little bit of logistics here. The restrooms are located to the left, at the back to the door, and the board games are free to use and play with your new friends. And silence your phones. Feel free to take as many photos and videos as you'd like and tag us at 241Members. We are both on IG and LinkedIn. To begin our day, we are joined by an incredible writer, speaker, and the storyteller who helps people reconnect with their own voice. Please join me in welcoming Terri Trespicio. Thank you so much.
Can I have the click? Okay. You know what? We're rolling with it today. We're just going to roll with it. Welcome. I think it's a really special opportunity that I get to start the day, because what I want to do is set the tone. And when I thought about this, obviously it being a Pride event, I thought about what it really means. Where does it start? Let's flip to the next slide. Beep, beep. Pride starts with self-possession. What do I mean by that? Pride, and I'm not making any assumptions, not everyone is out or is queer in any way, but I'm assuming since it's a queer day, I'm just gonna assume the default, because I know a couple of us are queer as fuck. And so here's the thing. Pride doesn't start the day you come out. It doesn't start the day you think about coming out. It doesn't even start the day you start questioning who you are. Pride starts with self-possession, which is the day when you realize you are separate from other people and you get to make decisions for yourself. Easier said than done. Why? Because we are born with a voice, but we're trained to be afraid to use it. You've been taught to be afraid to use it. I'm not saying you're a fearful person, but you know damn well that you have, especially, not just, but women, I know you hear me, that you've been taught to just keep it down, not draw attention, not be difficult. Let's go to the next one. We're gonna get to this in a minute. There's a reason we think of ourselves as consumers. We talk about consumers, you're like, that's me, I count as a consumer. We think that gives us power. I'm gonna vote with my dollars. You know, I matter because I'll choose what I consume. The problem is, we're not just consumers, we've been taught that too. And we've been taught it because that's how the economy is set up. That your whole job is to consume things, to buy things, to fill your life with things from the outside. That's fun. I like to shop. I love to buy stuff. But it undercuts the truth about what you actually are. And I don't mean to be sort of ushy-gushy when I say this, that you are creators first. It doesn't matter that you don't have a job at an ad agency or you're not a freelance writer. I'm not talking about industry-based. I'm talking about who you are as a human, not who you are as a talent. You are not an empty vessel to be filled with other people's ideas or directives, but that is how you are also taught. And I say this because you're beginning a day where you're going to gain a lot of insights from a lot of really smart people, and those things will make you question things and make you maybe see yourself differently. That's great. But you're also about to spend the day taking stuff in, right? Consuming things. That's okay too. But I wanted to start with the part of you that is more than a consumer. I wanted you to start today with the part of you that is creative. And when I ask people, do you think of yourself as creative or, God forbid, a creative, which is the worst thing ever, to decide that some people are creative and some people are not. That some people are artsy, jocksy, whatever-sy, theater kids. You are creators first. So, because there's going to be a lot of speaking today, I thought it'd be really important to start with writing. Not because I think you have to be a writer or that you have to identify with writing as a job. That doesn't matter either. I have spent the better part of a decade leading people through using the tool of writing to change their own lives. Yes, to write books, to write, sure, whatever you need to write, use it for whatever you want. But the act of writing is different than you've been taught. You had a class on writing, maybe you know someone who majored in writing, who writes for a living. Forget all that. Writing is not the same as thinking, talking, walking, or showering. You might do a lot of great thinking when you're doing these things, but nothing competes with writing. I want you to question the role writing has in your life, whether it seems to have a place or not. And writing is a way of thinking. Let's go to the next slide. Something happens when you write. When you actually write, and I mean, you can type, but when you handwrite, it actually changes the way you feel, and it changes the way you create. So, of course, we all type everything all the time, on our phones, on our laptops, like a bat out of hell, right? But when you write, it does slow you down. It brings you closer to your ideas in a way that has been measured. Let's look at the next slide. No, I already said that. Let's go to the next one. Okay, I said you were trained. You also have an inner critic, right? You have a part of you that says, you are a jerk. You can't do anything. You're going to embarrass yourself. We all have that. It's an internalized voice of the authority figures and the criticism we've gotten out there. Unfortunately, you can't get it removed. It's not like an appendix. You're going to have that critic till you die, but that doesn't mean it has to drive your decisions or, define what you do. But it's always there. So for many, many years, I've been training people to write and express their ideas despite having a critic. Because too often you go to, well, I could say this, the critic goes, don't do that, don't do that, you're gonna embarrass yourself. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. This is where we get into trouble with the talent idea that don't worry about it, we're good, we're gonna be all right. This idea that, well, I'm not talented. If I asked you, are you a writer? Do you feel like I liked it when I was younger, but I'm not good at it. I'm like a really bad writer. It's not true. If you can read, you can write. If you can read, you can write. It doesn't matter if someone was a poet and you had no interest in poetry. It doesn't matter that someone was published in the school paper and you weren't. If you do not write, you are forfeiting a skill that nothing can beat, including, by the way, AI. Do I use it? Absolutely. It doesn't write for me. It takes my ideas, my DNA, right, and then changes it into something that's easy to do whatever I need to do with it. But you don't want to abandon this as a tool because the people who write think differently. And if you don't use it, you will be behind those who do. I think part of the problem is because I've also worked for years as a brand consultant, someone who helps people articulate who they are, what they do. And most people are like, I don't know what makes me different. I'm just like anyone else. You're not, but you have dismissed the parts of you that are really interesting. And I know it because it's not my first rodeo. Everyone is interesting. They don't see what makes them interesting. You are editing the parts of yourself that are interesting out because you're afraid to be different, because usually you get punished for it. Let's go to the next one. The way I talk about writing is a little different than people who teach writing usually. Writing you might think of as the act of executing an idea. I had an idea, so I wrote it down, right? But it's not. It's an act of discovery. When you're writing, you will come up with ideas that you would not have just showering, walking. It just doesn't happen. There's synapses in the brain that fire when you write. Let's go next one. And so people go, oh, I know, I tried to do that. I tried to write. I kind of wanted to write a book, but I just thought, I have writer's block, I think. First of all, you don't have writer's block. There's no such thing as writer's block. There's just the decision to write, or the desire to write, rather, and the desire to be right, as in to not be wrong. So if you are more afraid of being wrong, then you're not going to write. So if you've ever felt that you were blocked around a thing, that sounds like a zero sum, like there's a wall and I can't move forward. When you feel blocked, more often than not, it's that you have too many competing things trying to get onto the road of your brain and do stuff. So if too many people are merging in, it's hard to move forward. And what you're merging in is my idea, what people will think of my idea. I want to look good. I don't want to make a mistake. You line all those cars up, you're not moving. It doesn't mean you change who you are, you disregard everything. It just means you have to choose. And the decision to write is where self-possession is expressed. It is where you get to literally touch your thoughts. There's no other way to do it. There's a ton of research. I'm just going to share with you this one bit. James Pennebaker out of UT Austin studied expressive writing. Now, I don't know the details of the study, except they were using writing expressively. They weren't writing essays or haikus, right? And in this practice, they did 15 minutes of writing a day for 3 days, and they had measurably fewer visits to the doctors months later. They also had increased working memory. I've also seen in a study, and I don't think it was his, that it can improve your critical thinking. The more we let go of that skill, the more we lose. We can move to the next one. So, I am trained in a method that I did not invent. It's called the Gayless method. You've never heard of it. I can guarantee you haven't. The whole point of it is this. It is a science-backed framework which uses writing and story as a tool, not just an asset, not just an output. And it uses it to push past blocks, encourage risk-taking, and explore ideas in a critic-free space. This is what I do. And I have seen hundreds and hundreds of people surprise themselves at just how much they had to say. And the way we do that is that we don't allow criticism or judgment or suggestions or questions in the room when we're in the midst of creating. Why? Because we go in too quick to edit and fix things as a rule. We go, what do you think of this? Well, this won't work because we shoot it right down. Maybe that's happened to you. I'm sure it's happened to you. And that makes it hard to come up with something new, because I don't really want to share it now because it's going to get shot down. And so companies are losing, I don't even know how much money, by sitting on their best ideas because some people were afraid to say it. This, by the way, is this little QR code in the corner. It can be really hard to write about yourself. And since I'm sure all of you are on LinkedIn, you must be, right? I have a free workshop that I led that walks you through how to write your about page or profile page. If you have your own website or you're trying to get a profile up, you could use it for a dating app. It could work. And basically you put your phone at that, it'll ask for your email, then you're in touch with me, you'll get the workshop. And I also teach you how to use AI to finish it. I'm not anti by any means. Okay, wait, did I miss something? No, go to the next one. Who here has heard about Google's Project Aristotle? I always worry that maybe I'm repeating it. You've heard it? He's kind of heard it. I'm sorry, bear with me. You're going to hear it again. I'm hardly going into the weeds on this study. Google did a very big, exhaustive study to figure out one thing. What makes for the most effective teams? Not the happiest teams, not the prettiest teams, not the most peaceful teams. Effective. That's all that matters when you're talking about in a work context, right? So I'm going to go through the list of just the first few. Well, first they found nothing. They're like, we don't know. There's too much stuff here. After a while, and I'm sure days and months of effort, here are the first, there was a ton of them. These are just the top 5 indicators of what contributes to the most effective teams. We have impact, which is how does my work affect other people? Meaning, what does it matter to me to do this work? Structure and clarity. How am I supposed to know what to do? Without that, you're done. Dependability. How can I trust that other people will do what they're supposed to do? Now, don't turn the slide yet. I want to just hear some guesses. What do you think was the #1 contributor? Just shout out. What would you guess? Anything else? Maybe high IQ? What? What? Meaning? Meaning's there. There's one more that I didn't show you. Sorry, it's not a multiple choice question. It actually, did I hear trust? You're the one who knew about the study, though. Can we switch to the next slide? Psychological safety, which maybe this term has fallen out of favor, like safety, like we're a bunch of babies and we can't handle anything. That's not what this means. Psychological safety means that you believe you can contribute ideas, propose solutions, or take risks without ridicule or judgment. So the people who've been put down for ideas you suggested, it wasn't safe, especially if someone made you feel like shit in the process. Let's go to the next one. So what safe means here or in any room, I can't guarantee anybody's safety. You could be triggered by a thing. The world is teeming with assholes. You don't know what could happen. But safe in the workshops that I direct are safe for the person who's creating. Because when you share what you've done, we don't tell you, you know what you should really do with that? You should really fix that. You should change that. We don't do that. We point out what's working. We look at craft. Because I could tell you a million ways not to build a boat. Well, don't do this, don't do that. That still doesn't leave you with any instructions on how to build a boat. Next. This approach I've taken to people who were not writers at all. Google, the whole admin team. I led them through it. The IBM marketing team. Financial advisor bros. And I mean bros. And they loved it, which was shocking. But anyway, my point is, it doesn't matter what the industry is. Let's go to the next one. So the rules, you can try these rules in your teams, in your work, if you like. There's no copyright on these rules. But these are what make a room safe. So when people say, oh, this is a safe space, prove it. Prove it. You can't tell me a room is safe if you don't show me there are locks on the doors, right? Here's the rules. No disclaiming. I don't put my work down. You want to save yourself a lot of time and have people perceive you differently? Stop shitting on your work the minute you share it. This might be a dumb idea, but am I the only one who thinks this? Stop it. You just share the idea. It reads as confident. 2, we focus only on what's working. No criticism, questions, or suggestions. Staying on the page means if this gentleman shares something about when he lost his grandmother, I don't say, I loved it. It reminded me of when I lost my grandmother. Because now you've just taken the spotlight. A big part of what makes creating safe is allowing the person to feel that they're being seen and not fodder for someone else's idea or, for their own life. Okay, good. Let's go to the next one. So you're going to try this now. You're going to do it. My vision for this is that you're going to do a thing. That's why I was given an hour, because some of it's going to be you doing a thing, which is why you need something to write with. If you didn't get a notebook, they're in the back. If you have a laptop, you are absolutely welcome to use a laptop. But I do want you writing in whatever form that takes for you. And then you're just going to do it. And I know you don't know me from Adam, but I am going to ask that you trust me here, because it is as safe as it can possibly be, because we all know the rules, right? Okay, so you have something to write with? You're not going to write yet. You can put it down. Let's go to the next. I'm going to give you a prompt. You've probably been given prompts before to write to. The prompt is not an essay contest topic. It is not that you have to do anything with that prompt. You can ignore it if you want. You can write something else. There's no wrong way, but if you want a tip for how to make the best use of a prompt, you allow whatever pops up when I give you the prompt to start writing. And I mean not like waxing poetic about the world. I mean concrete details. What do you remember? Where are you when this memory comes up? Memory and imagination live in the same house of your brain. That's the most layman shit I've ever heard, and I can't point to it on a map, but I know this to be true. So when you're remembering things, you also maybe hallucinate a little bit. That's why 2 people can never remember the event exactly the same way. That's important here, because I don't care if what you write is totally true or not fact-checking. This is a weird one, and this is something you can do on your own. Follow the work, meaning don't direct it. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say that. It's gonna be really smart. No, it's not. Your goal is just to write and to get out of the fucking way. Can you try that? Will you trust me to try it? Keep going wherever it goes. If you're like, I don't even know why am I writing about this, don't question it. That's how we get around the critic, which is like a bouncer by the door. No, you can't. I'm not letting you in here. In here is where your creative best ideas are, but you have a bouncer there because it might not be safe in there, whatever you come up with. But it is. So the point is to go, oh, I'm talking about some other stuff, and then you slip in. That's what this does psychologically. Let's go to the next. As I said, writing by hand does make a difference. If you're willing to write by hand, do it. If not, it doesn't really matter. Next. Okay, now, you're gonna go with me here for a minute. You're smart people, you made a decision to be here, you made decisions on what subway to take, where to park, whatever. I'm gonna ask that you let go of that part of your mind right now. What we say is, writing is not like, oh, a clever idea. Writing is a physical act. It's physical, like fly fishing, like, I don't know, unpacking, like do any physical act. Writing is just physical. So when you go to do it, you can do it, I just spit everywhere, because you can engage in an actual physical act. There's no reason you can't. So that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna be submissive to this other force. And in order to do that, you actually have to be in your body. So I'm gonna ask, it's ironic because I fucking hate when people do this to me when I'm in the audience, but I'm gonna do it to you anyway, which is close your eyes, put your feet flat on the ground. It's a very intimate group. No one's gonna know that you did this. I won't tell. Close your eyes. Don't be writing. Don't be looking at things. Rest your hands in your lap and just sit there for a second. Just sit. It took a lot of machinations to get here today. It's hot. There's a lot going on. The city is crazy. This is the only moment you will have, probably all day, maybe all weekend, to just sit there. And I want you to bring your attention to the furthest point away from your head. We want to get out of your head, as if you're climbing down out of your brain into your body. So I want you to go all the way to the ground floor and go to your feet. I want you to be aware of your feet, your socks, your shoes, what the floor feels like, what your feet feel like. Okay? And now I want you to bring your attention up to your shins and your knees. I want you to think about the large muscles of your legs. Think of your hips, your pelvis sitting in that seat, your spine rising up out of your pelvis. It's not a ramrod straight thing, it's like a spiral staircase. Move up the ladder of your bones. Feel your fingers in your lap. Drop your shoulders. Think about what's going on in your gut. All of those organs doing what they do without any help from you at all. Relax your neck, relax your mouth, your tongue, your eyelids, your cheeks. Let your tongue fall. Now, I'm going to give you, now everything is kind of settling down. I'm going to give you a prompt, and you cannot control what will come up when I give you this prompt. Something's going to come up, and you might be tempted to bat it away. Go, oh, that's stupid. No, I want you to let it rise up, and you follow it, as if you're looking into the water and a fish flies by, and you want to follow that fish. Okay? So, I want you to think about what comes up when I say, a time you spoke up. This doesn't have to be the moment that changed your life. It doesn't have to be like a watershed moment, but it is a moment you spoke up. Maybe you didn't let someone cut you off in Starbucks and you said, excuse me, and it was a really hard thing for you to say. Maybe you stood up for someone in a public space. Maybe you stood up for someone in your family. Maybe you raised your hand in class and said, I don't think that's fair. Maybe you're thinking of a time you didn't speak up, that you're like, why didn't I fucking do that? Whatever that scene is, I want you to drop into it. Where are you? What is it like outside? What are you wearing? Who are you with? You are taking dictation on your memory and imagination right now. You are not to overthink it. Something popped up, even if it's a bunch of different things. It doesn't matter. You're not being judged on this, okay? Let that scene sort of take shape like a movie, like on a movie screen in front of you. I'm going to give you a few minutes now. And I want you to start with concrete things you can see, touch, taste, hear, smell. A time you spoke up. Start writing now. Don't look at anything else. Don't talk. Just do it. And I'm going to watch the clock. I'm going to stand here and watch you do it. Okay. Then land the plane, put ... It doesn't really matter how you end it. Or just maybe finish your sentence. And maybe it's something you want to revisit later. Now let's go to the next slide where I remind you of what we're going to do. Next one, sorry. Now, I'm going to lead this feedback so you understand how it works in practice, so that you could use it if you wanted to. The reason we do it this way is because we want to separate the worker from the work, or the writer from the work, rather. Because when you over-identify with your work and someone criticizes it, it hurts more, doesn't it? Because your identity is caught up in it. We like to keep some distance so that you can revise and work and improve and innovate, but you can't if you're overly attached. And so this all serves to separate you from it. So we're going to hear some of these, and we're only going to reflect back what we heard and what we loved. We're not doing a literary dissertation, but we are going to go, wow, because you probably don't have enough time when people listen to you, who actually see you, listen to your story. It's very rare. They're so worried about them talking or what they're going to say in response to what you said. And we don't even refer to someone by their first name. What's your first name? Gatika? Gatika. So I wouldn't be like, oh, Gatika's piece. Like, Gatika seems to have a hard time with her mom. Like, oh, we're not going to get into that, right? We're just going to say the speaker in this piece, even if it were just she and I'd say, you know what's interesting in this piece? The speaker. It's out there. It's other. This has a huge psychological shift for people. So I'm not going to tell you what to do with it. No one's going to tell you what to do with it. Here's what I heard. Here's what I love. It's not flattery. It is not shining sunshine up someone's, we're just trying to hear what's actually there. So, do you know anyone here, Gatika? Good, then you won't mind reading because no one will remember what you wrote. Because literally, no one will think anything of you because they don't know you yet. How do you feel though? Because I don't want you to have a panic attack. Are you willing to share it? What could happen? Too personal. Got it. I'm glad you wrote it. I'm going to go to someone who I know is not afraid to share. Barton. I'm going to be your light and your amplifier. Ready? Go. He's just going to read what's on the page. Remember, no editorializing, no commenting. Oh, this sucks, and I didn't know what to say here. Ready? You know the rules.
All right. Got it. It was a summer evening at 5 p.m. in Inwood. I was working at TD Bank. It's been a long day of work. I was hot in a shitty polyester suit and managing the final shift at the bank. We had a god-awful new long green colored carpet in the lobby, and the AC was too weak to keep us cool. Everyone was ready to go home. In walks this wiry guy in worn denim jeans, dusty orange t-shirt, and a hard hat sitting precariously on his head, almost kind of like a fedora. We were getting ready to close. I went from the lobby to secure the vault to balance the cash, which always smelled like dirt, sweat, and sometimes pot. I heard voices raising outside. I go to check, and this man is screaming at my tellers, all young women from the neighborhood, hurling insults and demanding money in an account with a zero balance. It was, I was protective of the girls, ... is as far as I got.
Fantastic. So what did we hear? We hear, he doesn't say, hi, my name is, and here's what I did for a living, or do for a living. We hear someone works at a bank. He's in a cheap suit. It doesn't breathe. He's sweating. He's walking into the room. You can see it, the green carpet that he hates, and the AC is like weakly sputtering. So he's not getting any relief. There's a persistence and a non-relief to that moment, right? And then he sees a guy, doesn't fit into that scene. And he has a hard hat on, but it's sort of sitting there like a fedora. That's funny to think of one of these, you picture like, yo, like a total dude, but it's on his head like a fedora. And what do you think of a fedora is sort of for show. It's for style. We know a hard hat isn't for style, but what that means is this person is wearing it because he believes it gives him some kind of status. And then he hears it. So we have all the senses. He's handling the money, which smells like dirt and sweat and sometimes pot. I've never heard money described that way. Have you? No. It's completely original. And then he sees the guy yelling at his tellers. So now we know he's a manager. Now we know he is responsible for them and protective of them. He ends it with my girls. And we know it's a rising action. We're about to see the fight, the conflict, is he's gonna go out and confront that guy. We're all like, why don't we know? Because I only gave you a few minutes to write it. I want to go lock him in a room for 10 more minutes and tell us what happened. But do you see, he didn't know he was going to write that. And in a very short period of time, it brings back this memory so vividly. And it's really powerful. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot, Barton, because you have been in these workshops with me before. Tell me, if you will, what it felt like to write it.
It always feels a little bit weird because that memory is from 10 years ago. So, just as you're writing it, you just want to get the memory out. So like, there's words that are missing, the structures, whatever, but you can feel everything from that time, which is really, really always interesting.
It is sensate. It brings things up. Would you read? Would you like to read? What's your name? Melanie, thank you. You're disclaiming now. I'm going to put on my little light for you. Okay? Yeah. Melanie's going to read, and she's not going to editorialize. She's going to read what's on the page. Okay, here you go.
Thank you. It was hot. I was walking home from work on the phone with my mom, following the same routine I always do. I think it was sunny, but there was a hint of darkness. She threw away my keyboard, started moving my stuff around the childhood home for a stranger, not to her, but for me to enter. I wish I had talked to her then, been honest that I wasn't ready, that I was overwhelmed with her dating, but I never wanted to cause a scene on the sidewalk. She blamed me. She blamed me for her thoughts on grief and what people thought of her moving on. For me, it wasn't that she had moved on, it was that she chose him. It felt rushed, like a high school mad sort of love. It's something that I have more experience in than her, dating I mean. I wish I could have shaken her, told her that comfort and partnership isn't what she needed right now. Find yourself. I wish, oh goodness, my writing. I wish I talked to my dad more before he died. My mom knew something was wrong, and I dismissed it. I had a whole call with him, and all I remember is talking about what came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't remember the consensus, but I miss talking, even fighting with my best friend. I think it's something I think about silence and it's weird how to think about silence and space now. I never really noticed it before, but it's prevalent now in the fact that all I want to do is fill it with the essence of him.
Wow, that is a piece that hits deep. Thank you, honey, for reading that. Because it's about grief. And it's about how you handle grief and how you move on from grief. And you notice the details. She's on the sidewalk. She's talking to her mom. It's hot. It's hot, so I assume that it's bringing up all of your hot memories. When was I uncomfortable? But how wrenching, right? Because she says, I'm not mad at my mom for moving on, but her dating, and she's blaming me for the... There's a lot happening. And no two families are the same in how they grieve. But then there's that moment of leveling with the daughter and the mother, because I know more about this than she does. Like, you're in my house now. Don't talk to me about dating, I've been through it. So there's an interesting change in the relationship between her and with the speaker and the mother, and then the loss of the father, which she misses fighting with him, but just the essence of him. I'm going to tell you, do you know how much time you had to write today? How much time? 15 minutes? Yeah, it was fast. It was 7 minutes, exactly. 7 minutes of writing. You probably have wasted 7 minutes of time just scrolling. But this depth is right below the surface. Like, none of you came in here wanting to, or thinking you were going to write about that thing. But right when you did, you scratched the surface, and this entire thing comes up. That means all those ideas are right below the surface all the time. What are you going to do with all that? What is the point? People say they want their lives to have meaning and they want to have purpose. Then it starts with your story and what you are doing with it. It doesn't mean you have to air your most personal, but the act of it, were you surprised by what you wrote, or were you like, I'm working on this all the time? Will you tell us about what it felt like, even if you don't want to read it?
I did write, like, oh, I didn't expect to be writing this at the conference. I did.
So what surprised you? Like, what made you do that, go personal on it?
It's something, well, I wrote about my relationship right now, and so it is very, like, heavy on my mind, and, like, literally just things happened this week that I, like, wrote about, and so, like, yeah, it is a moment where I spoke up, and speaking up in your relationship is scary because, like, it's a person you care about, but, like, you also need things to change sometimes, and so it's a hard balance.
So she worked out an entire moment in the history of her relationship in 7 minutes. It's private. Some of this stuff really is. But there's 2 ways to use this going forward. First, I don't know if you guys heard of like what's her face? The morning pages lady. You know that? Did you ever hear about the morning pages? I hate that. It's just too much work. You don't have to write every day, you don't have to do a certain way of writing every day, but even just taking a moment to do it, not for anyone else's benefit. You're not always going to be at a conference reading it out loud, but it does matter to do it because you're accessing something you cannot access any other way. Are you raising your hand, honey, or are you just blocking the light? Do you want to raise your hand and read right now? Okay, great. Because it kind of worked. Sorry, how about this? Is that okay?
Yes. Okay. This is
What's your name?
Hannah Gabrielle. I use both of those names.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Sitting on the Metro North train to... Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I'll just start over. Yeah, of course. Sitting on the Metro North train to Grand Central for the second time this month, I take a close look at Kathleen's text. She replies, I only have a few days to find a new place. David and his family told me midnight last night that I can only stay at their place for a month. Ever since she started living with them at the beginning of June, I worry for her. David is continually berating her for not doing her chores. His mom thought that Kathleen would manipulate her own son so that she can have a new place to live. Disgusted, I angrily replied, David and his family are bitches. What they're doing to you is despicable. I immediately typed 741-741, the number of the crisis text line. I thought of texting this number to help her out. Then I informed a crisis counselor about Kat's living situation and impatiently waited for the responses.
Okay, I should definitely give people longer because we got some cliffhangers in these stories. Jeez, wow. We're dealing with domestic violence. There's a lot going on here today, people. A lot. Wow. No, you didn't. But she's...
Today, actually, this morning.
This was a very current thing. Okay, so it's right at the top of her mind, and this is going on, and she's seeing this whole family structure and kind of in the role of wanting to save. What was it like to write that for you?
It was a lot to process. It was a lot to process this morning, especially because it's still ongoing. Like, they just told her like last night, "Oh, we're gonna kick you out, and you need to find a new place to live." They think like she's a burden, and she's been kind of gray rocking this family. And every time I hear about them, like. They like to berate her, like think that, she's just like manipulating her own side. I can't believe I heard that. No, that was.
Well, we know they're a bunch of bitches, right? Completely a bunch of bitches. I so appreciate you sharing that. It does matter to do. Can you flip to the last slide? This is what I want you to, you're not gonna maybe share the most personal stuff in your about page, but everywhere you go professionally, people are gonna be like, send us your bio, tell us who you are, what do you do? It is a headache. I hate doing it too, but people miss the boat. They write things that anyone else could write and they sound like everyone else. And the stories you can put in there don't have to be so personal, but people read bios to see if they would understand who this person is. And most people just do the robot bio, and it's doing you no favors online. So this is the answer. I would love to, if you do this, get the workshop, write it up, send it to me. Because once you fill in your email, you'll be in touch with me, and I read my own emails and respond to them. Send me what you end up with. I would love to see how some of your stories figure in. And I hope that this was fun for you. It was a little risky, a little scary, but I appreciate you trusting me with these. And thank you so much. I hope you stay in touch. Thank you.